morning, everyone. Just a couple of announcements, mostly that I'll be emailing out the prayer list here shortly, but I also wanted to make everyone aware that Rodney Hurt passed away this morning. So please be in prayer for his family and the Fiskus family. Maybe reach out to them if you can. But anyways, I hope you're having a good Sunday. I hope that you're staying warm, and hope to be seeing you all soon. Bye. Today's scripture reading comes from Micah chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. With what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God. When I was in seminary, there was this weird phenomenon that happened at the beginning of every semester. You know, if you did especially well on your first test, the professor, they might pull you aside and they'd ask if you were interested in becoming their teaching assistant. And from that invitation, the process was very, very predictable. Everyone I knew who got asked to be a TA, they would just rush to the mall, and they stopped at Brooks Brothers. And they would buy a leather messenger bag and clothes that I'm sure that they could not afford. And then they would start talking about getting a PhD. Now, I was never one of those who got asked to be a TA, but I bought that messenger bag and some nicer clothes when I started working in the church. I did it because I wanted to look professional, but I also did it because a well-dressed person can hide confusion better than someone dressed in my usual jeans and just really wrinkly shirt. You know, I talk a lot about God, about Jesus' ministry among his disciples and its continuation through the church, but the glaring question that sits with us still after you've learned the Lord's Prayer and started a Bible in a year plan is, what does the Lord require of us? In my first year of ministry, I was convinced that God required me to be courteous and well-mannered and dressed, but surely there is more to God than good manners and neatness. I like Micah's sarcasm in this passage. Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams and rivers of oil? Does he need my firstborn child in exchange for my forgiveness? No. Why would God need these things? God is not a hoarder. God is not holding us for ransom. Instead, Micah gives us the direct and straightforward answer that we are looking for. He says, and what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? Micah's day was just as divided as ours. The haves and the have-nots were growing farther apart. The church had some respect, but they wasted it catering to the wealthy and well-connected. And here comes Micah to interject, saying, you have it wrong, and in fact, you have it so wrong that you've forgotten that God is more concerned with justice and kindness and humbly walking with God than he is with your red versus blue politics and the pet peeves that you use to judge others. I once worked at a college ministry, and one evening we were doing this very hipster thing of touring a coffee roasting shop where the owner named Bill told us a story. He was on a Habitat for Humanity build team in Guatemala, and when he and some workers were trying to take out 2 coffee plants to make room for the house that they were building, the coffee farmer that they were building for realized that they were going to take these plants away, and he was outraged. And he stopped the work on the build just to fight for 2 coffee plants. And after some arguing, Bill asked the farmer, how much are these plants worth every year? And it turned out that each of these plants was worth about $1 a year. Only $1. And this rocked his mind, and he wondered how this family, this farmer, could be living on so little. And so he came back home and he started researching the coffee business. And he found that many of the farmers were only making 50 cents a pound on their crop, and they were struggling to put food on the table for their families. And after a little more research, Bill found a business model called fair trade that allowed small farmers to provide good coffee and still receive a fair price for their farmers and their families. And after a short time, he started a place called Cafe Campesino, and he began trading directly with farmers and giving them fair prices and giving them a chance to earn a fair wage. Bill saw an injustice, and he followed God's command to provide justice for those who were taken advantage of and to give kindness to those who need it. You know, his life and business is a creative way to walk humbly with our God, but it's certainly not the only way. There are plenty of problems and plenty of solutions. Many require a little bit of our time and talents, and some others require many more helping hands and creative minds. But no matter the scope, the church, the Christian, the people, we ourselves should lead the charge in the change. For God has been clear that that is what is required of us, and surely God will be with us in what has required. Surely there is more to this life than surviving it and getting to heaven. Surely God has more in store.